Hello and welcome to this installment of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we are looking at the MGA Roadster Cockpit Rail Capping Kits. So I put together this video just to show you the actual cappings fully trimmed up versus the hardware elements of them. Standardly we supply materials to recover your original cappings. We can also offer a trimming service where we trim up your original cappings if you send them to us. And we can also offer aftermarket cappings as laid out in this video here, which there are a few subtle differences. Generally speaking, we encourage people to reuse their original cappings where possible, assuming that they're in a decent enough condition. The reason for that is they fit your car. In the era of manufacturing of these cars, 50s, 60s, etc., nothing was quite as precise as it is these days, and thus a lot of parts were, should we say, hammered to fit the cars individually. And thus, if you have the opportunity to salvage your original cappings and reuse them, then that's generally the route we recommend. Obviously, then you can use our materials to recover them, or you can send them to us and we will retrim them for you at our end here. So this is what this kit actually entails. The red cappings are a mixture of aftermarket replacements as well as a couple of original parts that the customer has sent us. And then you can see the untrimmed pieces here, which are the aftermarket versions here, so I'll go over them. Generally speaking, the capping kits are sold as standard in our trim panel kit, so the materials rather to recover your originals are included as standard in our trim panel kit. We can also sell them more individually as a set, so without all of the, say, door panels and stuff, so do see our website for details. Worth checking out the description below, as I will go into details about those bits and bobs, as well as links to where to buy the specific kits on our website, as well as other useful links to videos and information on our website about our materials and processes. But let's dive on in. Let's start at the front of the car. So this is the dash top scuttle capping. Now obviously when it's in the car, it's up like that effectively. And just to show you, we are talking about this one here. So it's the crash roll at the front of the car, i.e. the bit that you would kind of headbutt if you crashed. It's a woodwork piece like this, then it has a rubber, a sort of D-shaped rubber over the top of it, and then it's trimmed all the way around. It also has some fixings in there. You can see the fixings holes these. So these are the fixings that are pre-attached on the underside there before getting trimmed around like that. So you can feel the squishiness there. It's then piped. Subject to debate whether it's piped on both edges. We tend to pipe them on both edges as standard, as it's easy to remove piping, but a bit of an art to fit piping. And the kind of subject of the debate is related to the bottom piece of piping, so this piece of piping here, because of this loose piece of piping here, which I'm going to show you, because some cars had a piece of piping across the top of that dash area there, which is effectively where that piece of piping is there. So what we do is we cover our bases. We supply piping enough for both of them anyway, but then if we're asked to trim these, unless you give us a very definitive answer on which style of piping you have on there, we'll trim both edges. Like I say, they're only stapled on, so it's easy enough to take off, but the actual process to trim these is quite tricky, so it's better for us to do the hard work and you not need it than the other way around. So let's bear that in mind. You can see how the ends are finished here, as neat as they can be. That's generally the process we'd recommend. I've taken quite a few photos of this trimming process here for both making the piping disappear nicely around the corner, but also how you finish this end cap here. Standardly, these cars left with vinyl for the dash top scuttle capping, so just bear that in mind. Moving on to the door tops is a trimmed up version. So again, woodwork. And they had two different versions. You had the early version, which was wood all the way around and go curved around there, around the corner. And then you had the late versions here, which were part wood and part metal, aluminium, which obviously joined together like that. So the early versions were all wood, later versions were two-piece. I think sort of mid-1956 that changeover happened. So yeah, we can supply both, obviously. These trimmed up versions are the wood versions, one-piece wood. Obviously when it goes in, that would butt up to there like that in the car, and we're talking obviously this door top rail capping here, piped on the top edge there. Again, has the fixing brackets pre-attached on the underside there for mounting to the car. That hole there, I believe, is for the side screen, is it? Yeah, you can just about see it there. That's probably where the side screen slots in. Trimmed all the way. This piece was standardly in leather on all the MGA Roadster cars there. So leather for the main trim piece there, then obviously the piping would be the vinyl or the leather cloth to tie in and match, or some of the cars had contrasting there. Again, this is how neat the ends should look when they're done, or at least the bare basics of how neat they should look. They are quite tricky, and it's best to get the piping to disappear, but keep it so that you don't want to see raw piping on the edge there. You want it to be trimmed round and disappeared on the underside there. That's how we recommend you do it. Moving further back, you had the quarter elbow capping, so sharp angled pieces towards the back of the car. Where are we? Here we are, that piece there. Just, sorry, referring back. You can see that's those door tops and the quarter elbow cappings there. Quarter elbow cappings were, again, these versions here were metal. The aftermarket ones have kind of wood on the base there for you to trim into. I think originally they were a kind of a millboard material on these ones here, as you can see here. Again, standardly in leather as standard. So basically the door tops and the quarter elbow cappings were leather, and everything else was vinyl on the trim panels and capping kit. Piped on that top edge again, and obviously that butts up like that there. Again, the process for trimming these, they're actually really quite tricky, these ones, because of the angle that it goes at. But that's the kind of result that you want to be looking for. Fairly smooth all the way around. Nice tucked in ends that obviously will butt up to the corresponding pieces. And then the piping on the top edge there. So that's the look and feel you should be going for. Then finally, around the back here, you had the rear tonneau capping roll here. So again, it's a shaped woodwork piece. It's got the allowances underneath for the fixing brackets, obviously, which have been pre-installed in these ones here, as you can see. And it's, again, piped on that top edge there. This would just be vinyl, as mentioned earlier. A very similar effect in terms of the way you're finishing those ends and piping round on the corners there. So just bear that in mind there, how you finish them off. But yeah, that's kind of the kit there. It's worth noting, on the very early cars, some of the very early cars actually had fixing points in here for the tonneau. Like I say, very rare. The majority of the cars had the tonneau fixing, male fixings on the bodywork directly after this capping piece here, or further back shared with the soft top convertible hood. But some of them on the very early cars actually had fixing mounting points in this top part here, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, so that's a nice overview of those pieces there and what we can offer. Like I say, do check out the description below for useful information and links to where to get the bits and bobs on the website, as well as other useful videos and web pages. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.